Greetings, Warlords. Rodge here. Welcome to Saga Thursday, the show all about the skirmish miniatures game from Studio Tomahawk. Today we're joined by Yauheni, and we're
Hi
going to
there.
talk about Saga in China. So that's how you came to my attention. I've seen you posting some things, and yeah, we've done spotlights of different places in the world, and China is something that I haven't seen before. I went and looked on the player mat. Look like there's a few different pins. I thought I saw your pin in Shanghai. Was that
Yep,
correct?
that's us.
Okay. Now, what were you posting on the Discord? It was a document. Was that a tournament doc, or I'm trying to remember back? It's actually a few months ago at this point that first came up.
I guess the most important thing that I shared in terms of like Saga community and trying to do my best to grow it, especially in China, was kind of like an introductory video on the Chinese YouTube, which called Bilibili, where we basically made an introduction of what this game is about, right? Is like, okay, this is the war game. This is where you move miniatures, pieces, you scream, attack, and kill your enemy, and all the fun. And we just try to explain to general audience about how, and what makes it different, from more classical war games, like say Warhammer, of course. People in China mainly think of war games if they know anything about it. There's very few of them, but they do know something. Usually they will start with like, I don't know, 40K or Age of Sigmar, and when they hear Saga, it's like, what is that? Like, I don't know, Saga.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's going to be kind of a question there. I was over there in 2005, and I was looking for the hobby shops, wherever I went, and we went to the Imitation Mall. I'm like, there's got to be Warhammer figs in here, but alas, there wasn't. So
Which city was that?
Beijing, and then Chengdu in Sichuan province. So
Then you got unlucky. They actually should have the Warhammer like shops at that time.
Yeah, I must went to the wrong spots. It's definitely on the lookout back then. So is there, I mean, I'm assuming it's growing, but I don't know, a history of war games. Is it just Warhammer? Is there like a Chinese alternative, a tradition of tabletop games,
well, I mean, I might
from the
be
grassroots in Chinese, Chinese.
I know what you mean. So, I mean, it's important to understand that, like, first of all, war games and generally this kind of hobbies is a very special type of hobby because not very common for people, even, in our countries, right?
Definitely, yeah. It's not even common over here or, anyway.
So, of course, there may be some people who learned about it in the from outside of China, but generally speaking, it's a relatively new thing in Chinese society. I would say mainly like people who are like, I don't know, maybe from 40s, 30, 40, 50 years old. There's one who kind of became basically more international after China reopened, in 70s and 80s. And they start hearing about different hobbies. They got interested in foreign culture, etc., etc. And eventually this part also start to come in. And, if we think about like, traditional war games with miniatures, that will be, I would say, probably DBA, something like that. Because I do know a few friends of mine who are big fans of this system. They do play Saga as well, but DBA is their passion. I also know there's like DBMM, something like that. But the point is that many Chinese players, it felt like, do really enjoy playing with a smaller scale, right? So because of that, you would also find like 10 millimeter, 15 millimeter. Also, I don't know, maybe you came upon the like still existing Russian company called like Zvezda. They used to make miniatures like in 172.
Lately.
Yeah, right. And they're usually extremely cheap. So many people, when they start painting miniatures, like they will usually go to 172 scale. And then based on the rule book and what people you have around, you can then go into either kind of, Warhammer maybe, or into smaller scale to play something like DBA. Right. So then, of course, things changed when the Warhammer came because, that was, a big, massive company. Well, hobby-wise, right?
Yeah.
Today, it's a big company. Back then, it still was just a hobby. And many people, of course, would play something like Warhammer Fantasy Battles. I would say 40K was originally not so popular, but then slowly started growing up much, much better, especially considering the price wise, because
Mhm.
well, good luck painting Scropha miniatures, right?
Yeah,
With
yeah,
current
yeah, yeah.
prices. Yeah. Today, I would say the situation is quite interesting because still, like fantasy, yes, Battle of the Middle Earth is extremely popular game, I would say here. Age of Sigmar, people playing it, but personally myself, I'm not a big member of this group, so I don't know too much about. 40K
Sure.
is definitely very popular. There's a lot of like skirmish type games now that tend to be more popular. Like usually you will like true skirmish games, like maybe 10 miniatures per side, because time-wise, right? Usually our hobbies are very time-consuming, right? You need to
Mhm.
find time to finally find a place. You need to paint miniatures. Everyone loves good painted miniatures. But in the end, the main problem would be is that people here tends to work quite a lot, and the result, of course, is that like even myself, I have to wake up at 3 a.m. to paint miniatures. That's
Oh,
literally the
wow.
only time I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, that's dedication there.
Yeah, I have to hide it. I have to hide it from my girlfriend.
Pack
Yes,
everything up before she wakes up. Yeah.
yes,
I was just
exactly.
watching
Just like, hey, what
TV.
did you do? Yeah, yeah, just, I'm working. I
Yeah,
need
yeah.
more money, right?
Oh, cool.
So yeah, and today I would say that, but eventually, of course, younger generations, they tend to enjoy more doing stuff they like. So this hobby is slowly growing. But still, people always ask a question about how much time do I need to spend? How much money do I need to spend on these kind of things? So it's growing, but it's really more enthusiasts like me. If you have find people who are very passionate about the project, they're going to push it. Eventually, you will find a dedicated group of players. Uh, but again, it's a bit more complicated because, especially for younger players, they tend to travel a lot between cities.
Mm.
You have a group person playing in Shanghai all the time, and then boom, he needs to go to Beijing, let's say, right? And then the result of it, this person kind of, you can say, leave the gaming group. So that's something we have to deal with, right? I guess.
Hmm. So is there some good hobby shops over there, or people do basement, whatever the equivalent of basements or spare rooms? Is there, where do people
Ah,
gather?
I would say this is what makes it very different from, you can say, quote unquote, Western
Mhm.
part, right? Mainly because almost everything hobby-wise went to the internet, and particularly to the local versions of Amazon, like Taobao and eBay, like Yellowfish. People tend to buy stuff, paints, brushes, miniatures, basically anything you want is there, because it's for many people it's much easier to basically order things at home, because let's say you finish work at 6, right? Then you go back home at 7, and then you have like about 1 hour to paint. And if you need to go to hobby shop to play, maybe sometimes it can be quite complicated. There are some, usually maybe pubs or bars where the owners are very friendly towards the board gamers in general, not just like playing war games, but more like different board games as well. And they can allow you to basically freely to enter the bar, as long as you just take a sip, you're good to go, right?
Cool. Yeah. Good vibes. Good for getting other people interested in it too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Potentially.
exactly.
What are you doing over here? Oh.
I'm always catching, like last time we had a game, it was before the Chinese New Year, something like a January. I think I tried to drag in about 3 people inside. One of them actually went back to London, and I gave to him the link to our Discord. Said, okay, you
Awesome.
can check out. There are people in London playing it. You just need to show up, and you don't need to buy anything. That's not true, but
Definitely.
yeah.
So I think I saw, did I see that there was like a little event, a little tournament
Hmm.
officially? Is that
I
correct?
wouldn't say it's
Or
called officially, because yeah, this we tried to organize something like in May 2023.
okay.
Mainly the idea was it's not only Saga, mainly because people play different war games, like I don't know, like let's say Lion Rampant, something like this. We did organize a small event in Guangzhou, which is like basically on the other side, in
Okay.
front of Hong
Yeah.
Kong, right? And we tend to gather about like 10 people from different places in China, just, fun to try different games. My main objective was to let people enter, try this game. Found some contacts in Guangzhou as well for people who might be interested, and slowly trying to help people to grow the community there by recommending maybe connecting people together, because if you have at least 3-4 people who have armies to start playing with, that's already something that people basically can keep moving forward without your participation.
Yeah. And you're always ready for somebody to jump in. Hey, I got this painted faction here.
Yep.
Give it a shot. Oh, cool.
Yep, absolutely. So, but the main problem at that time was, of course, it was our first experience organizing some kind of stuff, and I would say it was important to prepare some sort of gifts, because it wasn't like a tournament; it was more like just like cool event for people to gather.
Sure, yeah. Prizes are nice. No one's gonna turn that stuff down. But usually,
I tried to get the 20 pounds win for the last competition with my pagan priest, but didn't work.
Did not do it, huh? All right.
Just joking. But yes, I have some plans. Maybe not sure this year. Some stuff, life stuff can change. But I was hoping that maybe this year, or at worst, maybe beginning of next year, we can organize a proper Saga event, like only Saga. We have like about 10 people to come with their armies to play a proper, maybe 5-6 points tournament.
Mm-hmm.
There was also an idea to start like a sort of like a league, similar things that happen on Discord. Me myself, I'm the guy who like to play with people, physically, face to face. So
yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
it's fine, but if I got some free time, I'm gonna go see my bud in person. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And plus, another thing is, again, consideration at the time. Not everyone can allow themselves to find a day to stay and play Saga, because it can be quite exhausting sometimes for some people. I can understand to that. And if you can, for example, have gameplay each weekend, and then you just got to a point, and let's say after 2-3 months, we got to eventual conclusion, then absolutely. So there's some ideas about that. We need to still, before the big reveal, we're still doing some ideas,
Definitely. So how long have you been playing Saga? I'm assuming, your background is Russian. Do you play with Art and Greg Guss and those guys?
Oh, no. Like my path to Saga was quite strange.
Okay.
Me myself came to China only like about 6 years ago, but actually I started playing Saga only when I came to China, and it was I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah.
2 maybe years ago, I would say, like actively.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the first game the point is that me myself, I started as more interested in in the board war games, some like GMT games, like I don't know, Twilight Struggle, Passive Glory, this kind of one.
Yeah.
These games.
I know what you're talking about.
And I always wanted something more tactical, and the biggest part was that I wanted something about medieval period, because I'm me myself, I'm basically a history major guy, particularly about the Mongol Empire. So if you saw this all the time post me painting Mongols, that's the cause of it.
Okay, yeah.
Because like every time I found something new on these sources, and my whole army, okay, screw it, I need to repaint again.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
So
you
because of that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You just kind of found it online, or how did you find out about Saga? I'm just curious. Do you remember exactly the first thing you saw about it?
So first game, actually, when I learned about this war games, right? Saga was kind of always there because, if you mainly go to like historical war games, if you would think something about like ancient period and like, let's say medieval antiquity, I would say Saga pop out quite often. As I don't know, let's say bolt actions maybe for World War II. And when I was going through, I was thinking, I want something about late Rome. I want something about like fall of Romans in Britain, something like Pendragon, like this period. And of course, Dux Britanniarum. I don't know if you heard about this game, kind of popped out.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, I like the idea about the campaign system, and I bought myself an entire Romano-British basically 6-point warband from Scropha Miniatures. I started painting them, and then I found out there's no one else to play with. The main problem is that. So the result was I kind of tried to think what games could be easy to access and can get people inside. And I'm thinking, wait, I have miniatures, and it's called Saga. Let me go through it. And yeah, I popped out on your videos. I need to confess that the video that basically bought me was from, I believe that was from Greg, the Russian guy. I didn't play with him. I didn't meet to him face to face, but he had some nice YouTube like battle reports.
Okay.
It's like beautifully pictured made, like with the camera and like the music from Total War. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to play that.
All right.
I
Yeah,
want to
maybe.
crush some heads. And I just basically, okay, you know what? Okay, screw it. If I cannot find people, I'm gonna paint 2 warbands. So I just went to Gripping Beast and I bought 2 warbands of Mongols and Eastern Princes. And after some time, I got them and start painting. So that basically was how I started. And then we got the Shanghai lockdown for like 3 months when no one can get
Oh,
outside.
yeah. Hopefully you had all your models and paints and everything you needed.
Yeah, I was like, I was like basically just stuck there painting all the stuff. I managed even to finish the entire Roman villa from God, what is this like from MDF, and I still despise how it looks. It's terrible. I don't like it.
Like foreground? Is that their version?
No, it was like Sarissa Precision. These guys.
Sarissa, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a few of those. But...
amazing MDF.
Oh, that's
But
cool.
generally speaking, that was the start. And after this one was finished, this is how I basically tracked the first person. It was my friend who we play like GMT games. And I said, there's like this game Saga, it's like very easy to play with, I have 2 warbands. Do you want to try? I have him Eastern Princes. He enjoyed it. It's a quite fast-paced game. And basically with this, also there's another friend of mine. He already played Saga back when it was still first edition.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a big war gamer guy. He's like, I don't know, he's like thousands of miniatures. He's like, oh, by the way, I just spent 5,000 pounds buying miniatures. It's like, what the heck? All right. And we played like, this is what 2 people with whom basically we started playing, and generally slowly start building, but it was still mainly like
foreigners.
If you think of it, this is the main problem. This was main concern for me.
Could be a question of like your group or whatever, how many are foreign guys and how many are local
Chinese guys, right?
Chinese
Plus,
guys,
we're all in China, right? And if we want to make people grow the community, we cannot just base the community on only foreigners, because it kind of makes no sense. But if you think of it, the main kind of the wall for people to enter is language barrier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, my friend had a person who basically managed to, on Word, translate the main ideas of Saga into Chinese for free, just because he wanted to try it out.
Yeah,
like this guy is like, his name was Murong. So if you will see this video, praise to you, man. You did the God's job.
That's cool. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And this was like this thing that allowed us to attract people, because he has a lot of people he knew, like he's kind of like related in this wargaming stuff. He played DBA, different games. He also makes 3D prints a lot. So he basically the guy who has everything to start the hobby. And when he has this Chinese language rules mainly explaining the basic rule book, bam, they have everything you need. And luckily I can speak Chinese, so I can just like immediately catch up the guys and it's like, hey man, it's an easy game, come on, let's try, let's meet, and we start slowly growing more and more people that again, we managed to make a group of, let's say, 10 more or less players just in Shanghai. We still have other people kind of spot on in different places in China, still thinking about how to organize to make sure that our game's a bit more consistent. But still things to improve. We're just basically starting.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, you're sharing these things that you're doing on the Discord. I think is really interesting to see. So, what's your favorite army? Is that Mongols or what do you?
Yeah, I guess you can guess by my background, right?
Yeah. We're in the pleasure yurt. Yeah.
yeah. It's like it's my passion generally in history as a historian, and I just find them cool because such a vibrant colors. And I guess the only faction that kind of can compete in this way, maybe I would say Muslim Saracens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Wow. Yeah. This is so cool talking to you. Thanks for taking the time. We had a little bit of a time difference here, but we figured it out. So
yeah, like for all lads that will hop in China for some reason, like if you've been in Shanghai especially, feel free to just send a message. Definitely, I'm going to contact you with the guys. Even if I'm not myself there right now, I can definitely contact you with some guys to play a game of Saga, So even if you're traveling, it doesn't mean the hobby should stop, right?
Okay. So that'd be the best way then. Saga Discord message.
Yeah,
you
yeah, I
would
would say
say?
this is the
Is there's
this is the
a
easiest way.
Facebook group or something specific for
I mean,
anything
we
like
all
that?
know about the Chinese firewall, right? So
Yeah.
so Facebook is definitely not the way to go because mainly no one will really use it. Also because there is no need for that in China. You know, they have their own apps that basically can easily replace it. So people just find it useless. But Discord is a good way. They can definitely reach me out personally, message or anyway. They feel free. Just like, hey man, I know you kind of like in China. Can you recommend me to some Saga places to try? Easy, you know.
Absolutely. Perfect. Yeah, I'll have your username below and head to the Discord and in the world map there. I think
Yeah.
I saw a few other pins as well. So you're not, it doesn't look like you're the only one who put their
I was
pins
like,
down.
I hope we can definitely grow. Maybe like at least people have in Guangzhou and Beijing. If we can get to this point at some moment, that would be great.
Mhm.
Actually, one thing that is very important, I believe it's in late August. There is some kind of big gaming, like board gaming event in Beijing happening annually. Of course, it's not like Adapticon, which is purely wargaming stuff usually, but still, a lot of new games can pop out. A lot of people can try different games. And
Yeah.
my goal is eventually to go there with mostly beautifully painted miniatures where people look at them, even if they don't know anything about the period. Because, again, history is a very niche genre. If it's history related game, it's even more niche genre. And if it's like requires you to paint miniatures, it's a super niche genre, right? But when you see such a beautifully painted stuff, you see a nice terrain, which I'm trying a lot to make terrain look really good. Well, I mean, for tabletop standards again. And people see it like, oh wow, ooh, that looks good. Cool. How much time did you spend? It's like, oh, it was fast, just like what, months?
Easy peasy, man. Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
Give it a try.
It's like it just months. Oh wow, so fast. How many hours did you spend? Oh, I mean, I wake up at 3 a.m, so like about 5 hours a day, I'd say.
Oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, get to that convention. Yeah, there's definitely going to be like-minded folks.
Yeah.
There are people interested, open to the message that you're trying to spread.
And it's always great to I feel it's always great when you have a contact with the guys who still play in the other like war games or board games, because again, it's just all the same thing basically. And if you can make people just to try different things, just on a friendly basis, that's always great, because even if maybe they don't like the game, but they might know someone who might be interested in this kind of game, right?
Awesome.
So that's the way to go.
Well, yeah. Thanks again for coming on, letting us know.
Anytime.
I found those incredibly interesting to hear about this stuff, and wish you the best of luck in continuing to grow the community over there. Definitely keep in touch and keep posting. And
yeah, we'll try.
People, if you travel to China, be awesome. Get a game in, on the side. That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget to pay the tribute, then you're good to go.
Right. Awesome. Thanks, Yauheni. And we'll keep in touch. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Thanks, Rodge. Bye.
Bye. Saga. If you'd like to see more Saga content, consider joining the Heathen Army over on Patreon or popping on down to the Saga Thursday Discord server. Links below. Thanks, guys.